AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride! Woo!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You sure. And Mr. Joby Thompson. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. David DeLucci in 1 hour. Head to Houston, Texas in 30 minutes. Skenes Day at the World Baseball Classic. Paul Skenes pitching against Mexico. Our buddy Chandler Rome. Cali High! And LSU. He'll be there. Covers the Astros for The Athletic, but he'll be there covering the WBC on Skenes night. So we'll talk about that. How the events going there in Houston, all that stuff. We'll do that with Chandler coming up in about 30 minutes from right now. We have not, obviously, spent a lot of time here this winter talking about LSU basketball. They're not very good. And we talk about things that are interesting to people. And judging by the attendance and the general lack of give a darn, we haven't spent a lot of time talking about it. They're 3-15. They're dead last in the conference. Their season will end Wednesday when they play Kentucky at the SEC tournament. They'll lose that game at 11:30 a.m. Central. And then the future of the LSU basketball program will go in whatever direction it does. After the game on Saturday when LSU lost in triple overtime to Texas A&M, Matt McMahon was asked in his post-game press conference why he deserves a fifth season at LSU.
You know, for me, I'm 47. This is my 30th season in college basketball. So I've just been incredibly blessed. Have absolutely nothing but gratitude, appreciation, for this opportunity. With that, the 30 years experience, I also understand what comes with the job from an expectation standpoint. And I share in the disappointment and frustration that we haven't gotten the results we wanted to this last 2 months. That's my responsibility. With that said, I absolutely love LSU. I love our core group that returns next year. I think we have great administration and leadership team here at LSU. And, so clearly I'll respect, whatever decisions that they make moving forward.
The thing that makes this really tough for a lot of people is everybody likes Matt McMahon. Everybody. Try to find someone personally. Try to find someone who says an unkind word about Matt McMahon. You're not going to find it. His players like him. The administrators like him. Basketball boosters like him. Media, he's been great to work with. I'm not saying that's the reason you retain somebody. I think it's a contrast to Brian Kelly, who, when things started going badly and LSU lost 3 straight this past fall, they moved very quickly, almost a knee-jerk reaction with how quickly they moved to move him out. And the way it was sort of described to me was when they started making phone calls about putting money together for a buyout, would you support it? He just didn't have many people come to his defense. He didn't have allies. Brian Kelly didn't. Matt McMahon does. There are people that like Matt McMahon that want to see him get another year. We've talked about some of them here on the show. I do think the fact that people like Matt McMahon is one part of it. The bigger part of it is the financial consideration, which we've talked about plenty here. LSU would have to pay about $10.8 million, just under $11 million to buy out Matt McMahon and his staff. And every time I say that, some of you say, well, that's disingenuous because there's mitigation clauses. Fine. And Brian Kelly has mitigation, and how's that going so far? Like, he ain't got a job. You can't assume that the number is going to be lessened. You're on the hook for it. So you don't create a budget hoping that that number comes down. And I'm just here to tell you again that this is more of a financial consideration than anything. Now, I think this is very simple. I think there are two scenarios that will play out, and it's going to be one of the two. One is that LSU rehires Will Wade. I don't know how likely that is. And I've said this before, and so this shouldn't be shocking to anyone that I'm saying it now, but I think these are the two scenarios that could potentially unfold. One is they hire Will Wade, who, by the way, NC State is on a 4-game losing streak, and they lost 6 of their last 7. At one point this year, they had won 6 straight conference games. They had beaten North Carolina. People in Raleigh were gaga over Will Wade. Now they've lost 6 of 7, and it's not so hot. You have a governor, a chairman of the board, a university president that all would like to bring Will Wade back to LSU. I know Will Wade loves Baton Rouge. His family loves Baton Rouge. He's convinced he could win here. I know all of that to be true. And a year ago, he was coming. The governor and Lee Mallett tried to make that happen. We've talked about it before. A year ago, he was coming. He was coming back from McNeese. Scott Woodward wouldn't pull the trigger. We've talked about that before. This is more complicated. He's got a deal at NC State. He's in a basketball conference. He's at a school that cares about basketball more than LSU does. I have no doubt, like, two things can be true at the same time. Will Wade can love LSU. His family can love Baton Rouge. He could want the job again, all that sort of stuff. And so, too, can it be true that the timing doesn't work because he's not going to leave NC State. Now, I think losing 6 of your last 7 makes it far less complicated. If he were on a heater pushing toward the NCAA tournament, then NC State may hear the noise from Baton Rouge and be more inclined to try to lock Will Wade down. Contract extension, whatever. I don't cover NC State. I don't have great sources at NC State. I don't know what they're thinking right now. But I know I'm very comfortable saying that there are very powerful people in this state and at this university and athletic department that want Will Wade to be the basketball coach. I have no problem saying that. Can they get their wish? I don't know. There's a lot of complicating factors. We'll see. If they don't, then I think Matt McMahon's bad for a 5th year. I think those are the two scenarios that could unfold. You either rehire Will Wade or Matt McMahon gets a 5th year. And they invest in the roster again. And you're going to ask a very natural follow-up, and you're right to ask it, which is to say, who's going to pump money into this basketball program if they run it back with Matt McMahon? People that like Matt McMahon. So you could spend $11 million to buy out McMahon and his staff. Another couple million to buy Will Wade out of his contract at NC State. Then pay Wade and pay a new staff. And then have to go buy a roster. Or you could just take that money and funnel it into the basketball roster. See if in year 5, hopefully you have better injury luck. And maybe you win a few more games. We'll see. You know, I don't know. I could say flip a coin at this point as to what happens. But I think those are your two possibilities. because I don't see. I ask this question to people often. So give me the name. You fire Matt McMahon, you don't hire Will Wade. You fire Matt McMahon. Who's the guy that you're going to hire that's going to be this injection of life into this program that everybody's going to get behind? You go hire another mid-major, and maybe, boom, maybe you hit on Nate Oates. Maybe. Or maybe it's another Matt McMahon. Maybe it's just another mid-major that comes to a power program and doesn't hit. So, but from jump, there's no obvious name that's going to take this job that's going to be this infusion of life. I had someone tell me over the weekend, Bruce Pearl. Yeah, that's great. Yes, co-sign. Go hire Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl just left. He retired from Auburn, where he had gotten them to a Final Four, the first in program history. You think he's leaving Auburn to retire, to come out of retirement, to come to LSU for this job? Out your mind. Realistic possibility. Nobody has that answer. So I think that's what it comes down to. LSU's going to play on Wednesday against Kentucky. I think they're going to lose that game. Season will end, and then they'll wait and see. Can you get Will Wade away from NC State? If so, I think that's what they'll do. I think they'll fire Matt McMahon and hire Will Wade. If Will Wade is not going to leave NC State, then I think you run it back with Matt McMahon for a fifth year. I think those are the two options you see unfold. Subject to change. If it does, we'll talk about it. But I think that's where you are. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Evamore, E-V-A-M-O-R, Evamore.com, Evamore.com. I love when I get tweets and DMs and messages on my text line from y'all. When y'all see Evamore out in the wild and you snap pictures of it and send it to me, the Evamore people love that too. So keep it up. EVAMOR, natural artesian water. Listen, spring water is the healthiest water you can drink. It is natural artesian water. And Evamore is a Louisiana product. So you're drinking the healthiest possible option, and you're supporting great Louisiana business. EVAMOR, Evamore.com, Evamore.com. You find the retailer nearest you that sells Evamore, go to the website, hit the little menu, it'll say find a store. You find the store nearest you that sells it, or you can buy it online at Evamore.com. EVAMOR, Evamore.com, Evamore.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. If you're just jumping aboard and haven't heard big news today, Demario Davis to the Jets, Alante Taylor to the Titans. Saints have added Travis Etienne, the former Clemson Tiger, former Jacksonville Jaguar first-round pick coming home. And then David Edwards, the interior offensive lineman from the Buffalo Bills. Saints agreed to pay him a 4-year, $61 million contract. So a busy day here on the first day of free agency of the tampering period for the New Orleans Saints. None of this can become official until Wednesday when the NFL league year officially begins. But the legal tampering period is here, and the Saints are already making moves. We'll continue to talk about it. When we come back, we'll get some reaction to the Saints stuff, but there's some big national headlines as well that do directly and indirectly affect the New Orleans Saints. We'll talk about that as we continue here. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, I got an awesome text earlier today from Jareth Nakan over at Glow Resources. You want to know why I love to endorse certain companies? It's because when you trust the people that do great work, it's easy to endorse. And Jareth sent me a message this morning, 9:11 a.m. Said, hey, buddy, just want to say how much I appreciate your talents and how you speak of us. Admittedly, I don't watch TV or listen to local radio. It's okay. So, but it's not uncommon for me to have a weekly interaction with someone to tell me they've heard about us from Matt Moscona. God bless you and your family, brother. It's from the owner of the company. You want to know why it's easy for me here to sit here every day and tell you about Glow Resources? Because of people like Jareth Nakan. It's the people at Glow Resources that do awesome work. Good, ethical, hardworking people that have built a giant business. On the Business Report's top 100 privately owned companies list last year in Baton Rouge. Certainly they'll be there again this year. If you need to hire, you can trust Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com. Well, one of the real disappointing things about LSU moving first pitch on Sunday from 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock, so I missed my folks over at River Parish Contractors. It was their game to be in the Guarantee Suite, and was supposed to go hang out with them, but school night and such, so wasn't able to get out to the box. But it's always a great opportunity to get out, to reserve, to see our friends at River Parish Contractors. You know, one of the things that they say is come visit the shop. State of the art. They service businesses from Chalmette to Baton Rouge, so they always say, man, you're within an hour from anywhere, from where they are. And they will open up their shop 24/7 for any client that wants to see the project of their job or any job. It's River Parish Contractors. Learn more online at rpcontractors.com, rpcontractors.com. Remember, they can meet your schedule because they fabricate it themselves. It's River Parish Contractors, online at rpcontractors.com.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
Talked a good bit today about the Saints free agent moves that they made, most notably DeMario Davis, Alante Taylor out, Travis Etienne, and David Edwards in. But nationally, probably the biggest storylines here. Look, Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP, signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. What a major coup there for KC as they're making a push to get back. Mahomes, of course, be coming off an injury. Travis Kelce announced today he'll be coming back for a 14th season. Mike Evans out of Tampa. He's headed to San Francisco to join the 49ers. Significant. Certainly affects the NFC South. But the one that affects the NFC South the most, really, is Tua. So Miami has, they will cut Tua. They'll take on the largest dead cap hit in NFL history, $99.2 million in dead money against the cap in Miami. And Tua's going to sign a one-year deal. Of course, Kirk Cousins is set to be released before the start of the new year on Wednesday. And so Tua is leaving Miami. He'll being cut there, and he'll sign a one-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. So now you'll have Michael Penix and Tua. You'll have two left-handed quarterbacks there. That's sort of an oddity in and of itself there in Atlanta. I can't help but think, though, I can't help but wonder if the NFL is, if we're reaching this maybe moment in the NFL where we're seeing teams give up too quickly on their highly drafted quarterbacks. Just follow me here. Like, Tua's out in Miami. Kyler Murray's out in Arizona. There's unrest around Stroud in Houston. Coming into this year, they were saying the same about Bryce Young in Carolina. Of course, they won the division this year, made the playoffs. But look at this sort of small sample size. And it might be giving us a bit of an indicator. Like Baker Mayfield. Baker was the number 1 overall pick. And he led Cleveland to a playoff win, which is almost miraculous. Build a statue. And then Baker bounces around, lands in Tampa, and wins a couple of division titles. At one point this year, midway point of the season, he was the betting favorite, the front runner for the MVP. He was in that conversation. You don't think Cleveland would take Baker Mayfield back right now? I mean, they're going into a season where they just had to rely on Joe Flacco. And now it's, well, does Deshaun Watson have anything left in the tank? Or is it Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel or whatever else? I mean, give Cleveland the opportunity. You don't think they'd take Baker Mayfield back? I mean, Sam Darnold just won the Super Bowl. Ask the Jets, hey, you can have whatever is on the table for you this year, whatever that may look like, and I don't even know what that is. I mean, last year was Justin Fields, and what are we actually talking about? Hey, you could have Sam Darnold back. Would you take him? I think so. Former top 5 pick that was in your building. He becomes a nomad, a journeyman. Carolina, San Francisco, Minnesota. Minnesota kicks him to the turf. You don't think Minnesota would take him back right now? Goes to Seattle, wins the Super Bowl. How about Daniel Jones? I'm not saying Daniel Jones was good in New York with the Giants. Objectively, he wasn't. But before his injury this year, I mean, the Colts are probably going to win that division. Now, you had a guy that led the NFL in rushing with Taylor, but sometimes that's what you need. We just talked about Darnold. We had Kenneth Walker paired with him. Oh, you mean it helps for a quarterback to have a good running game? Stunner. So I can't help but think, and I guess I'm thinking of this in terms of the New Orleans Saints because we're all really excited today about Tyler Shuck, and rightfully so. I mean, led the Saints on a 4-game winning streak there at the end of the season. We can talk about who they beat. I don't care. It's the NFL. You won 4 straight games on a team that was awful, had a 7-game losing streak, longest losing streak since Ditka. I mean, I'm hopeful that the Saints are just going to push forward and upward. But I also have watched enough football in the NFL to know it don't always go that way. Exhibit A is C.J. Stroud. You talk about a guy that was rookie of the year that we were thinking might be next, and now there's rumblings in Houston about the turnover is such a problem that he is a detriment to your success. That do they move on from a guy that was the number 2 pick in the draft? I would just say it's a cautionary tale, man. And maybe for guys like Tua and Kyler Murray, maybe please don't misunderstand me. I'm not sitting here lobbying for Tua and Kyler Murray, saying, oh, they're misunderstood. What I will say is Tua was leading Miami in the best offense in the NFL before the concussion issues. Kyler Murray had a great year under Kingsbury before the ACL derailed him for a year and a half. Like, they've had success, and I understand not nearly enough. And the NFL is a microwave society, man. We got to win now. And if you don't, they're moving on. Coaches, GMs, quarterbacks. But we're starting to see this growing sample size of quarterbacks that were highly drafted guys that had a ton thrown on their shoulders early in their career, didn't go great, went to a new spot, and proved to be really good starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And again, we're starting to see that sample size of those guys grow. Might Tua, Kyler Murray be the next of those? Maybe. I hope not for Tua, at least not in Atlanta. I mean, I don't want any good things for Atlanta. But it is it's just an interesting sort of sample and talking point that's continuing to grow here. Because we went through this period, this 2-decade period in the NFL of Brady, Manning, Mahomes, and you look right now around the NFL, and this year was a great example of it because you had, an AFC playoffs that didn't include Mahomes or Burrow. Allen got booted early. Lamar Jackson. I mean, the guys who have been MVPs and the best quarterbacks in the league, they weren't participating. So was that a one-off? Or are we seeing whoever the next generation of great NFL quarterbacks will be, whoever those next sort of rivalry quarterbacks will be, or maybe it's just there isn't going to be this one dominant player that runs things the way Brady and Manning and then Mahomes did. Interesting. And if that's the case, then you look for functional NFL quarterbacks like Sam Darnold on a great roster, and could someone like Tua or Kyler Murray in the right spot emerge to be that? I don't know. I'm not saying they will, but if we go back and dig up old tweets for what the reaction was when Daniel Jones signed with the Colts, I don't think there's many people thinking that was going to go great. I'm not sure that many people were assuming Sam Darnold going to Minnesota or to Seattle was going to go great. You keep seeing this growing list of players that were cast aside from the team that drafted them, first-round picks, that given another opportunity and a new beginning, maybe what we're seeing is you got to have a little more patience with your starting quarterback. And that's not an easy thing to do. But to the Saints' benefit, I mean, this is one thing about this organization is they are almost patient to a fault. Like, Mickey Loomis is never getting fired. They are exceedingly patient with coaches, and like we saw with Derek Carr, with quarterbacks as well. But for a shoulder injury, Derek Carr is still starting quarterback at the Saints, much to the team's detriment and my dismay. But that would be the reality. So I think the Saints are going to stick with Tyler Shuck. I mean, he's going to be their guy, and they're going to ride. And I hope he goes awesome. But in the event that it doesn't, this could be a test case, an interesting test case to watch of these guys that former first-round picks cast aside that have found a new beginning somewhere else and a lot of success. Maybe Tua and Kyler Murray will be next. We'll see. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. OLOLRMC.com/LSU. OLOLRMC.com/LSU. That's where you can learn more about LSU and their championship health partnership with Our Lady of the Lake. Of course, when it comes to the lake, one of the things they say so often is with healthcare, the two things we all want, access and convenience. Be it at their main campus there on Essen at the Regional Medical Center, the Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital, expert care for cancer, stroke, heart health, pediatrics. Our Lady of the Lake, they have the best specialists, world-class care, and then even the Our Lady of the Lake After Hours, and the Lake Urgent Care. So if you need emergency care or if you need to go see a physician after hours, they're always there with access and convenience. It's Our Lady of the Lake. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Okay, it's Skenes Day, y'all. Paul Skenes pitching at the WBC in Houston. Our buddy Chandler Rome is there. He's going to join us next. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Now, it rained a lot this weekend, and I know there's a lot of rain in the forecast today as well. We might see some cold temps coming in the next week or so, which is a bummer. You know, I always hate that last cold snap, but it always feels inevitable. So it's a reminder, though, this is the time to just plant something. Get those plants in the ground. You want a fruit tree, a citrus tree? You got to get it in the ground right now. If you're thinking about planting shrubs, privacy shrubs, get them in the ground right now. Nobody has a better selection than Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations: Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. And while they've got the best selection and the best people, they've got everything else you need. Your garden decor, your tuned wind chimes, mulch, soil, bag, bulk. They got it all at Clegg's Nursery. So buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And we do shutters too.
First and foremost, I care because I'm from America. I love America. You know, I've seen the WBCs in the past, and there's no bigger stage or no greater honor than wearing USA across your chest. You know, I went to the Air Force Academy for 2 years, ended up transferring out to LSU, and there was, you know, a big part of me that was, you know, fully intent on serving in the military, you know, as a career after college. And so this is, it's not serving, but, you know, this is a pretty close second.
And then you started throwing 100. That's Paul Skenes. Tons of respect. Everybody knows that. Skenes Day in the World Baseball Classic, the U.S. against Mexico in Houston. Chandler Rome, our buddy who covers the Astros for The Athletic, is there in Houston. Will be covering the game today. Yo, man, how are you?
I'm good, Matt. How are you?
Doing very well. What's the vibe like for the WBC in Houston?
Well, I just walked past Stephen Milam on the field, so he's going to enjoy. He's going to enjoy this evening's festivities. Tonight's going to be, as the kids say, lit. I'm sure you know from living in Houston for the time you did, Matt. Almost half Houston's population is Hispanic or Latino. There is going to be a massive Mexican presence here. Mexico played Brazil last night here, and they had 35,000 people here, and it was all Mexico fans. They are going to be loud. It is going to be I've covered a Game 7 of a World Series in this building. I've covered the Astros winning the World Series in this building, and I think tonight's environment may pass those, just given it's standing room only tickets. They've sold out. The get-in price is like $300. Like, it is going to be quite an environment tonight.
That's pretty incredible for the WBC because in the early days of the World Baseball Classic, a lot of Major League guys didn't want to play. You cover the Major League Baseball on a daily basis. Why? What has caused the change, Chandler, to where so many premier elite guys in this league want to play in this event.
Well, Matt, it's a little. You have to look at it from two prisms. For the Latin American countries, they have no problem getting established players to go play. Playing for Team Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico or Venezuela, like that is everything to people from those countries. Like those teams have no problem getting all the established major leaguers they can to play. Like Vladdy is playing for Team DR, Juan Soto is playing for the DR. They've got every player you can get. Now the U.S. has been different. And one theme that's been throughout this tournament, and Paul Skenes is a big part of it, is they have really, amped up this year in terms of wanting to accentuate what it is to play for USA across your chest. And that hit you played earlier with Paul Skenes. Paul Skenes was instrumental in getting Tarek Skubal, the two-time defending Cy Young Award winner, to participate in the tournament this year. They have ratcheted it up here because, quite frankly, they've seen how other countries treat this. Like Shohei Ohtani is playing for Japan right now. If Shohei Ohtani, who is the richest player in North American sports, if that guy can go spend 2 weeks in spring training and play for Japan, then the Americans have kind of said, like, we have to get on that level. But the reason why people don't do it is because you have to remember, this is spring training. Like, they are in the middle of spring training right now. They are ramping up for the regular season. The WBC doesn't sign their paychecks. The teams that employ them do. And there's guys that are close to free agency. There's guys that are close to, getting another contract. They don't want to risk injury in what, at the end of the day, still is an exhibition game.
Is there sort of a collective opinion on how big league clubs feel about their star players going to play in the WBC and taking this break from spring training?
I'm glad you asked because there's an Astros tie-in there. So,
hey.
So every guy that plays in the WBC has to get insurance on his contract to play. Because of this year, as guys were trying to get insurance, it became a lot more difficult to get. Jose Altuve of the Astros and Carlos Correa of the Astros, both of them are not playing for their respective countries because they did not receive the required insurance to play. So essentially, if they would have played in this tournament and gotten hurt, they would have forfeited their salary.
Ooh.
So that is the drawback. Now, there are some owners and some clubs that say, you know what, don't worry about the insurance. Even if you don't get the insurance, we'll cover you. We'll take care of it. The Astros were not like that. They were very, very injured last year. They want their guys in camp. They want their guys to be around there. So Correa and Altuve are not playing. Francisco Lindor of the Mets is not playing because he didn't get the required insurance. So I think for position players, it's a lot easier to let them go play because, look, there's risk of injury anytime you step on the field. But for position players, it's a little bit less so. Pitchers is where it really, really gets dicey because it's March 10th? Like, you're not supposed to be throwing 98 on March 10th. You're not supposed to be going such high intensity and being in this sort of adrenaline-filled atmosphere on March 10th. Like, it just disturbs the buildup for pitchers, which is why it made it so incredible that Tarek Skubal even pitched in this tournament because he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year. And it's quite frankly even more incredible that Paul Skenes is going to pitch because they're risking a lot. Like pitchers, you risk a lot as a pitcher pitching in this tournament because this is not a situation, this is not an all-star game. You can't go out there and throw a glorified bullpen session. Like you're going to see Paul Skenes throwing 100 tonight.
Chandler Rome is with us at Chandler_Rome. Give him a follow there. The Athletic Astros beat writer. Be covering the WBC tonight with the U.S. and Mexico. Okay, so Skenes gets the ball tonight. That I was going to ask. So, I would have assumed this would have been like a 2-inning short stint. But what do we see from Skenes tonight?
So there are pitch count rules. No pitcher can throw more than 65 pitches in the first round of this tournament. So Skenes, if he's got a perfect game through 5 innings, that's why he gets pulled. Because he cannot throw more than 65 pitches according to the rules. But I would imagine, like Tarek Skubal went 3 innings and 44 pitches the other night. I would imagine it would be around there. Maybe they push him up to 50, but I'd imagine you get 3 or 4 innings and around 50 pitches out of Skenes. But if he's efficient, it's all a pitch count thing. So if you're watching tonight, just kind of keep track of the pitch count because once it hits 65, they have to take him out of the game.
What do you think is the other storyline tonight or for the duration of this tournament?
Well, Team Mexico has beaten the U.S. 3 out of their 4 WBC meetings. So there is a little bit of revenge on the brain, but the U.S. This is the best roster the U.S. has ever assembled for this tournament. This quite literally may be the best group of baseball players ever assembled under the U.S. logo. So there's revenge on the brain. Mexico's good. They've got some big leaguers. They've got Jaron Duran, Randy Arozarena, Jonathan Aranda, Alejandro Kirk. They've got Andres Munoz, the Mariners closer, all-star last year. He's their closer. But the U.S. is a better team. Now, that doesn't guarantee anything in baseball, but the U.S. is a better team. Going forward, the big story, the U.S. is going all in for this. Like, they did a massive recruiting effort to get all these stars on board, to get this collection of talent here. Like, it's win the title or nothing. And the Dominican Republic has a loaded roster as well. Team Japan, who won the WBC the last time it was played, they are stacked with Otani and a bunch of Japanese players. So I think it's going to be a 3-team race between Japan, the Dominican, and the U.S. The U.S. has all the talent to win it, and I think that's the storyline going forward. This is a win. This is a championship or bust thing for the Americans.
Chandler Rome. By the way, I just looked. The U.S. is minus 3.5 on the run line tonight, so they're a pretty significant favorite in this ball game against Mexico. If they do win it, what does the schedule look like?
So they still have another game in pool play. So they'll play regardless of the outcome tonight. They'll play tomorrow against Team Italy, and that'll end pool play for them. I believe if they win tonight, they're guaranteed to advance out of pool play, but if they lose tonight, they'll beat Team Italy tomorrow. It doesn't matter. So after that, they will play in a quarterfinal, which will be at Dyken Park again. They'll play a quarterfinal. I believe they would play either Puerto Rico or Venezuela. I don't quote me on that, but and then the semis and the finals are in Miami at Lone Depot Park. So the championship game is March 17th. So, yeah, that's what it is after that.
Okay. Are you covering this thing all the way through, or are you just there in Houston because they're in Houston right now?
No, I'm actually heading back to spring training tomorrow morning.
All right.
So I'll be back in Florida tomorrow morning.
All right. At Chandler_Rome. Give him a follow on Twitter. He'll be there in Houston tonight for the World Baseball Classic on Skenes Day. Thanks, dude.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yep. We'll see you. It's after further review. We're brought about Arco Power Systems, arco.com, arco.com, arco.com. ARCCO, arco.com. If you're a business owner, if you have a commercial property or you manage an industrial facility and you've ever wondered, what do we do when the power goes out? Easy. Arco Power Systems. Industrial generator power. That's what they do. You hear about standby generators all the time. Mostly people talk about it for their house. What about for your business? That's Arco. Doesn't matter how big your business or industrial facility, commercial facility, when the power goes out, you can't afford to be offline. So call Arco. Everything's turnkey. They can sell, service, install, rent you your Generac industrial standby generator. Right here in Baton Rouge is home base, but they have offices all over Louisiana, east to Mobile, north to Little Rock, west to San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, Austin. Draw a big circle. You're anywhere in that footprint, Arco can serve you. ARCCO, arco.com, arco.com. All right, y'all, it is after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. David DeLucci in about 15 minutes. Get Lucha's thoughts on what's going on with LSU, but not just LSU, man. Florida scuffling as well. Texas still undefeated in the pre-conference. What are we learning here as we push off from the dock and conference play this weekend? We'll talk about that with Luch here in about 15 minutes from right now. Okay. Quick break. Come back. Muse will do Tigers and the Pros to wrap up hour number 2. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
I got a message from Michelle Southern, who is awesome, our operations manager here. Over the weekend, she asked, hey, are you still endorsing River City's 1 Hour Air? I'm like, yeah, of course. I'll have forever. Michelle called River City's 1 Hour Air this weekend. They came out to the house and said, I'm extremely impressed. This is her 5-star Google review. I'm extremely impressed with my experience with River City's 1 Hour Air. When we got home yesterday afternoon, our upstairs AC unit was blowing hot air in our son's room. I called after hours expecting to leave a message or schedule something for the next day, but I immediately spoke to someone with a real local person in the area. Very polite. Got someone scheduled for us right away. Our technician, Kevin, was awesome. He showed up promptly, was friendly, explained everything in a way that was easy to understand. Turns out we had several issues going on with the unit. He was able to fix everything, get cool air blowing upstairs again quickly. Very grateful for the quick response, great service, highly recommend. I told you all the time. Nights, weekends, you'll talk to a real person. They're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And oh, we do shutters too.
All right, we'll get to Tigers and the Pros in just a quick second. We do have breaking news here as we head toward the end of the hour. Breaking news. Saints, who have already today added Travis Etienne and offensive guard David Edwards. Now, Tom Pelissero, Ian Rappaport reporting the Saints have tight end Noah Fant. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that room here. As we know, Juwan Johnson will be back, but this gives you more of a traditional, prototypical tight end. Foster Moreau, his time in New Orleans very well could be coming to an end here. We'll see. We'll get more reaction, more details when we have it. But Noah Fant will sign with the New Orleans Saints, according to Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport. All right, it's after further review. Muse. So, Tigers and the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Continuing with the free agency news in the NFL, a trio of former Tigers have landed new deals. Start with Ed Ingram. He is re-signed with the Houston Texans instead of testing free agency. The contract's 3 years, according to Ian Rappaport, $37.5 million. No word on how much of that contract is guaranteed, but 3 years, $37.5 million, a second-round pick of the Vikings. Of course, the time didn't go great in Minnesota. It's been pretty good for him, though, in Houston, where he will remain. Former Tiger Cordell Flott, following his old coach Brian Daboll, to the Tennessee Titans. This is a 3-year deal, according to Mike Garafolo. $45 million, $32 million guaranteed. Flott, a third-round pick of the Giants, started 37 games in his time up there in New York. Now will be with the Tennessee Titans. And the Indianapolis Colts have added former Tiger Arden Key on a 2-year deal. $20 million, $11 million of it is guaranteed. 16.5 sacks for the Titans over the last 3 seasons for Arden Key. He will remain in the in the AFC South just this time with the Indianapolis Colts. Tommy White, 0 for 2 so far today for the Athletics. Had 2 home runs over the weekend. Has driven in a run so far here today. 444 the average. And then just talked about it, World Baseball Classic, United States versus Mexico. Alex Bregman will start at third base and hit 5th for Team USA. He's had a great first 2 days, drove in a lot of runs for the red, white, and blue. And of course, Paul Skenes, Captain America himself, will be on the bump for Team USA tonight.
Are we doing that?
Captain America, America's ace.
Are we doing that?
Let's do it. Why not? Skenesy, it's going to be great. That's Tigers and the Pros.
And I'm very much for Go USA, and I want Paul Skenes to just go absolutely embarrass Mexico tonight. Is anybody actually calling him Captain America, or is that just a thing you just did because you felt like doing it?
I kind of just did it because I felt like doing it.
That's a bad thing. Don't do that again.
I kind of dug it.
Nope, don't do that again. Way overused. Captain America.
What about America's ace? We like that still?
Okay.
They used to call him that at LSU. I mean,
sure. Better than Captain America. You could do better. I think you could do. Maybe you could prove me wrong.
It was kind of the first thing that came to mind, so I rolled with it.
That's exactly my point. I think you could do better than just Captain America, which is so generic. So, you're American? Captain America. Okay. I think you could do better. America's ace. I like that.
America's ace. Paul Skenes on the bump tonight.
There we go.
Go, USA!
I love that so much. that will never get old to me. To a lot of people, that might get old. To me, that will never get old. Just the sheer irony of a British man yelling, go, go, USA.
Go, go, USA!
Shout out Ian Dark.
I mean, just feigning his passion for America because he's collecting a paycheck.
Hey, man, that's what America's all about.
Go, go, USA!
Oh, man. Hopefully he took that paycheck and spent it at Rouse's. Official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Where? I don't think they have a Rouse's. Where was that? That was the 2010 World Cup. That was played in
Oh, that was Africa.
No.
2010, yeah, it was Vuvuzela, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I thought the Qatar, but that was 20.
That was the last one.
The last one.
That was the last one.
Yeah. 2010. That doesn't matter. They don't have Rouse's in any of those places, but they have Rouse's all over Louisiana and from Lake Charles to Orange Beach, and they had 76 of them. You want crawfish? I could go for it. I might get some crawfish tonight, Muse. I may leave here tonight. I may just swing on into Rouse's by the house. Just grab me a bag of burled crawfish, some kern and potatoes.
Cold beer.
6-pack of Bud Light.
Yeah, that's a good Monday night.
And then a 64-ounce bottle of Evermore so I can hydrate when it's all done. A lot of salt in them crawfish. Rouses.com, Rouses.com. Rouses. This feels like home. America.
Go, go, USA!
After further review.
And I'd go to Rouse's tonight because Supper Club is closed. Can I get another one? How about that? How about that transition? Supper Club closed Sunday, Monday. They'll be back open on Tuesday. I want to keep reminding you that if you're looking for dinner plans on a Friday during Lent, and you're like, Matt, I love when you hear and you talk about Supper Club, but, not going to go eat a steak on a Friday in Lent. Great. Don't do that. But still go to Supper Club because they have amazing seafood options. The Chilean sea bass might be the best thing on the menu. Now, look, I'm a steak guy, but if you don't love steak, trust me when I tell you that'll be one of the best pieces of fish you'll ever eat in your life. They have Ora King salmon. They've got lobster. They've got scallops, which are divine. The Alaskan king crab legs. They sourced the Alaskan king crabs from the boats on that show, The Deadliest Catch. And the crate comes in. It says the name of the ship, the boat that they were caught on. Stone crabs from Florida. I'm telling you, your best seafood options, Supper Club.